Hello, 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 and welcome, my Aquarian collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign. Welcome to your twin flame reading. Timeless, though I'm doing it in April 2020, so whatever works for you whenever you're supposed to see it is when you are supposed to see it. I am your reader, Angelo, Lyons. Mal, for short, president of Join the Circle Productions, professional witch, professional intuitive, apparently a YouTuber now, and really enjoying serving from my dining room table, which is really kind of lovely and fun. That being said, if you're new to the channel, please consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel, hitting the notification bell, because I am putting out content every day during this time of sequestering in place, watching my language for videos, so to speak. And by all means, feel free to comment in the comment section below, particularly if something resonates. And in case it does not resonate, please do keep in mind this is a general read. I do a lot of them in the month for different stuff, pretty much all spirituality, path of true loves, twin flame, soulmate, that kind of stuff. Astrology stuff. It's kind of fun for me to do. And if you are not new to my channel, thank you, my subscribers, for coming back, and people who are following. You know the deal. So take what resonates, leave what doesn't, check your other signs. Because we're really only doing 8 to 12 cards in these spread. If you have been following me, you know I can go 45 minutes to an hour with a twin flame contract. Shooting between 20 and 30 minutes for this. Upload times have been nutso. So it's not YouTube's fault, it's just traffic on the internet is what my tech guy told me. He said it's across the board, and he's an Aquarian, so who better to ask? So let's have fun with this. The Twin Flame Teacher Read is what my guides are calling it. You'll see it's what this relationship is teaching you in terms of how to love yourself, how to heal yourself, how to respect yourself, how to set boundaries, right? Dealing with your self-esteem. It's teaching you all sorts of things. Because in a twin flame contract, regardless of what you might have heard, it's just a different definition of it, which makes so much more sense. These are the relationships that help you be a better soulmate. But the twin flame, you can't by contract give yourselves what the other one really wants in terms of love. It just never works out that way. They're not all romantic sexual. Please, by God, please, I hope people understand not every twin flame contract is romantic sexual. My father and I were twin flame contracts. There you have it. My mom and I soulmates, right? So this is about learning from these tricky, transformative for sure, tumultuous, turbulent, trying, triggering relationships, right? If there's a person in your life that just dances all over your buttons, most likely we're looking at a twin flame here, and they're teaching you something. They don't know they're teaching you something, or maybe the relationship itself is teaching you something. That's what these readings are about. Cool, cool. Please remember to breathe as we do this. We're going to look at it as a contract, party number 1, party number 2, but we're going to be doing that as divine feminine, divine masculine. Has nothing to do with gender. Physical body gender, at least, has to do with energetic dynamic. I think we're good to go. Let's do this. All the decks that I read are in the description box all the way at the bottom. Give credit where credit is due. We're going to start with 2 Caroline Mace archetype cards. Breathe. I feel you. Okay, my collective pantheons, different vibe. My collective pantheons of angels, goddesses, gods, masters, and the higher selves of all involved. Please, 2 cards, 1 for the divine feminine, 1 for the divine masculine, in this Aquarian collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign twin flame contract for April 2020 or timeless, please. What is the soul power that's being healed, worked on, dealt with for the divine feminine? Same thing, please, for the divine masculine in this Aquarian twin flamer, April 2020 or timeless. Let's see who our lucky couple is, but before we do, remember, if you've not come into contact with these cards before, archetypes are neutral. In this deck, they spell it out in thumbnail sketches through a shadow attribute or 2, as well as a light attribute or 2. This is what you are being taught how to heal within yourself. We've got the divine feminine liberator and the divine masculine teacher. Now, already, I can tell you, wisdom family, very familiar with the teacher archetype. I am a teacher archetype. I've been teaching my whole life. And that's another story. The Divine Feminine Liberator, however, is the action family, right? To liberate oneself, to liberate others, and a lot going on here with ideas and beliefs, not just purely in terms of physical liberation. So let's start with the Divine Feminine. I'm going to read the shadow first, sort of get it out of the way. The shadow attribute of the Liberator archetype for the Divine Feminine: imposing your own tyranny over those you claim to liberate. Ignoring legitimate constraints. And that one's really important. Like the legitimate constraints we're all under right now as a society. I don't care where you are, you know you're supposed to be at home. All right, so like hooking up. I have had more opportunities on Scruff and Facebook. I mean, some of them are like in other countries. I'm like, now's not the time, right? But even the ones around the corner, I'm like, no. Not ew, but no. I'm not leaving my house and no one's coming here. So that's a legitimate constraint. No matter how constraining that is a legitimate constraint for the time that we are in. The light attribute: freeing yourself and others from outmoded beliefs, releasing negative thought patterns. So you see there's a lot of element of air in this one already for you Capricorns, whether you identify as the Divine Masculine or the Divine Feminine. Let's look at our Divine Masculine. Divine Mescaline, that's not good. The teacher archetype in the shadow, manipulating or abusing students. We don't need no education. Teaching negative traits and destructive skills. We are well aware. Like particularly when we were kids, my my mom would say, I don't want you hanging out with us, I don't want them teaching you anything. It's like, yeah, we can teach at all different sorts of ages. And it never stopped me. I just did what I wanted to do. Because we didn't have cameras on our phones, and we didn't have phones that you wouldn't get whiplash walking away from. Light attribute: ability to communicate knowledge, experience, skill, or wisdom, and that is a communicative thing. So we're definitely looking at very air sign. I could see where an Aquarian could maybe identify with both, particularly the Liberator, because it's ruled by Uranus, the rebel. That there is something very liberating about Aquarians, as long as they're not too fixed in their ideas and belief patterns, right? Releasing negative thought patterns, right? Like if they're really fixated, it's fixed air, it's okay, it's their element. But that's a very interesting thing, a liberator and a teacher, that if they could really get on the same page, they might be able to do great things for the world. But as far as their relationship, it might be very tricky, turbulent. It's a twin flame, right? So let's keep going. Rather than pick an angel card, a god card, and a goddess card, I'm going to use this one deck that does all three in one. The angels, gods, and goddesses oracle. Please take a nice deep breath. We're going to get one for each of them and see, because this is really telling us who they are, right? The energies that are working with them in their own individual lives, right? For their own individual healing, what have you. Nice deep breath. My angels, gods, and goddesses, please, 2 cards, one for the Divine Feminine Liberator, one for the Divine Masculine Teacher in this Aquarian collective. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign in this twin flame contract for April 2020. Or timeless, whenever they are supposed to see it, please. Number 1, first one, ladies first, for the Divine Feminine. What is the angel, god, or goddess that walks with her? And for the Divine Masculine Teacher, one for him, please. This is the card, the angel, god, or goddess that walks with him. So keep in mind, Divine Feminine Liberator with the Goddess of Psychic Protection. It's an interesting connection there. What you believe you create, no one can harm you. On a mental level, yes, I'll give you that much. Because ignoring legitimate constraints in the time that we are in, just don't. Just don't. Be wise, right? So what are we talking here about the Goddess of Psychic Protection? You know, I've had so many clients come to me throughout my career, really even from early on. I'm under a curse. Oh, really? Magical attack? I'm being psychically attacked. Oh, really? I mean, I know it happens, but magical attack is incredibly rare. It takes so much work to actually curse somebody. You have no idea. And the ramifications, people think you can just spit over your left shoulder and have it be done with. No. I'm well trained in that stuff. Particularly when I say, well, who do you think is cursing? My mother-in-law. Does she have any training? What do you mean? It's like, well, does she have any training in the dark arts? No, I don't think so. I'm like, then chances are you're empathic and you're picking up negativity from around you. So that's a different story altogether, let alone psychic attack. With what's going on in the world right now, please, if you're even slightly empathic, divine feminine, you could be picking up on all sorts of everybody's everything, but that's a healing skill. Learn how to use your empathy to heal, just saying. Goddess of psychic protection, what you believe you create, to an extent, I will admit that is true. I'm not all down with the what you believe you're going to manifest. We create our own reality. We co-create our own reality. In terms of the narratives that we create, no one can harm you. Maybe fine in a psychic sense, where if someone really is thinking negativity towards you, maybe this teacher archetype, maybe not, that it is about how much do you believe. Look, I've always said, if someone calls me a giraffe, a long neck, leaf-eaten, Serengeti running giraffe, I'd be like, okay, someone forgot their meds, because I know I'm not a giraffe. But if someone says, you're a fucking phony, you disgust me, you're just... And I believe any of that, all right? Or like, you're ugly and your mother dresses you funny, right? I believe any of that, oof, it hits. So I think that's really more what this card is speaking to. What you believe you create. So if you believe it's true and somebody confirms it and triggers you, it was your trigger before they ever came on the scene. No one can harm you. And in that sense, yeah, if we're talking about self-esteem, if we're talking about liberating yourself, you know, it says right there, what you believe you create. Well, really look at that. Look at that belief system. Because sometimes I think we end up blaming the victim, and we're just not in charge of absolutely everything that manifests to us. I think there's been a gross misappropriation of universal law of attraction as well. Yeah, sure, there are things that if you believe do come true, but chances are they're going to come true whether you believe in them or not. But the rest of that to me really, really is psychology. It's like, if you think everything in the world is out to get you, then every little thing that happens you're going to perceive through that lens. And that may not be a popular point of view, but I think it's the more accurate one, Virgo that I am. And you're an air sign, I'm sure you see it all the time. Because Aquarians, though they may be fixed in thought, they're not always necessarily over-emotional or attached, which is a bit of a paradox, in my experience, just saying. Like, get into a conversation with them about psychology, theology, that stuff, they can really, really run with the concept. But as far as attaching to taking a position, not always so much. So unlike the teacher archetype, that might have something, you know, that they're trying to teach rather than something they're trying to liberate. When we've got this shadow attribute here with the goddess of strength. The goddess of strength, stand up for what you believe. You will gain respect by holding your ground. Yeah. This feels like a very, very interesting dynamic that I have seen in families, that I have seen, of course, in romantic partnerships, although the tendency to be more ass-kissy, codependent, and, what's the other word? People-pleasy when you're in a romantic sexual thing can be a little nauseating. But I think in general, this can be a twin flame about two different, not just points of view, but let's call it philosophical foundations, right? Really believing different things. And so what we've got here with this goddess of psychic protection, what you believe you create, no one can harm you. This might well be about this teacher, but who still needs to stand up for what they believe. You will gain respect by holding your ground. You don't have to agree with somebody to be loving enough to hear them out. Even though it eats you alive inside, what's eating you alive inside is your ego and your fear that they're going to knock you off balance. Something only you can let them do. This is the loving thing to do, is just listen and not be ready to just out of your mouth the thing. That's if you're the divine feminine. And if you are the divine masculine in this situation and you're identifying with that, sure, stand up for what you believe. Absolutely, everyone's right to do that. You will gain respect by holding your ground, but probably your own respect, because this is a twin flame thing. And if you're standing your ground to get respect from somebody else in a twin flame, it doesn't always work that way. And that's what makes them a big hot mess. Let's move on. From the higher selves of all involved, we just had our first family Zoom union, Resumion on Zoom, with my family, my grandfather's 100th birthday, and I could not do it without drag fans and props. I just couldn't. I'm like, this is what I do for a living, people. And all of their cameras were like rolled up here. I'm like, I've got the backdrop behind me. I'm like, yes, hi, how are? Welcome to my channel. I did tell them all to like me on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. I hope. Oh man, I don't know that they're ready to see. They still call me by the diminutive form of my name. Not many people are allowed to do that. Marky. I told them I now spell it Marquis, as in Desaad or of Karabas. Look it up. Breathe. Well, that made somebody laugh. Okay. The higher selves of all involved, back to work, please. 2 cards, one for the Divine Feminine Liberator with the Goddess of Protection, and one for the Divine Masculine Teacher with the Goddess of Strength. 2 goddesses, that's interesting. Just saw that, obviously. It was there. So please, the higher selves of all involved. 2 cards, one Divine Feminine, one Divine Masculine for this Aquarian. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign twin flame contract for April 2020 or timeless, please. Whenever they need to see this, a voice of the higher self from the Whispers of Love Oracle, please. One for the Divine Feminine and one for the Divine Masculine Teacher. Really felt that. Good, good, good. So remember, we got the Liberator archetype, the Goddess of Psychic Protection, not the stop washing your hands or social distancing. Don't stop doing that. That kind of protection. Okay, before I read this, let's just reiterate. Releasing negative thought patterns, like from yourself, for example. What you believe you create, no one can harm you. Listen with your heart, says your higher self. Listen with your heart. You're listening to what is being said to you, but you need to listen with your heart, which means you need to kind of be more loving here and honor their right to their opinion. That it's going to be so much easier for you to move more gracefully through this because you don't like to be interrupted. You don't like to have someone cut you off just to prove their point, right? This is unity consciousness time. You can be loving without having to agree. They might not see it that way, but that's okay. Listen with your heart. Feel the pain, perhaps, that they're in. If this is even with this teacher archetype, which I feel like it is. Particularly because we've got the teacher with the Goddess of Strength. And do something for someone else. Give your attention to someone else. Now, you might be like, oh, just not me. If you're the Divine Feminine here. But if you're the Divine Masculine here, this is really saying, it's like, listen. Do something for someone else, right? You have the strength to do this. It says right here, stand up for what you believe. You will gain respect by holding your ground, but can you also hold your ground for somebody else? Like this feels like a twin flame in that you both might do the same thing. You're competing for energy. I highly recommend either one of you or both of you read The Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield, particularly chapters 4 and 5. Just going to leave that there. If you know what I mean, comment in the box below. Good book. Read it in the original softcover before Warner picked it up. I've been doing this a while. Very, very interesting. Do something for someone else and listen with your heart. Very much a heart song, well, close to. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. Let's ask the Ascended Masters now, because you see this is the Divine Feminine, kind of where they are, the Divine Masculine, kind of where they are now. This center lane is where the twin flame goes down. This is the center field. We're going to start with the Chuck Spezzano Love Pack, the Ascended Masters of Twin Flame Contracts. Yes, they exist. I've met them, sort of, so to speak. They are specialists. There's also Ascended Masters of Soulmate Contracts and Soul Contracts in general. So they do specialize and subdivide. They are like universal lawyers. Just saying. Breathe. My Ascended Masters of Twin Flame Contracts, please. One card to start with. This is where we may get more than one card here. One card to start with, please, in this Aquarian Collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign Twin Flame Contract for April 2020, please. Give us one card. What's going on with the two of these for April 2020 or timeless? Well, good. We do have an energy of joy here. So this is what immediately takes me out of the thing that this might be purely sexual romantic. There might be a stronger foundation here in terms of tribe. Family, friend, doesn't mean you can't be twin flames, doesn't mean you can't be teaching each other things that, you know, you have to learn to do for yourself, but that there is a foundation here of the grace of joy. So there might be a larger background or context or environment where you both can enjoy things together, but you just can't give each other that kind of joy. Well, can you? Joy is a natural state of being. So there's something worth contemplating. That'll keep you busy for a while, Aquariums. Let's see, let's get you one other one here, at least two. My Ascended Masters, one other, please. What's going on in this Aquarian collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign twin flame contract? April 2020 or timeless. Yeah, bad choices. So though there may be a joyful background, perhaps a family connection, a connection of friends, it does feel more tribal, that you're all in the same group. Maybe you're all if not, like, I'm just going to say for the teacher, like you're all in the same school or in the same district or something like that. Remember, these do not have to be romantic sexual, but the ones that are and the ones that aren't twin flame regardless are the ones that help you become a better soulmate. It's like they're so important, so don't run from them. Really do the work that only you can do for yourself, and sometimes that means you never have to face them face to face if you really can master what it is that you're learning and growing through here. Just one more, because joy with bad choices, it's like a moment of joy led to a bad choice. It's a little Harlequin romance, although it happens every day, I'm sure. Let's just get one more for clarity, please, because they're also poking me on the head. A poking me. My Ascended Masters, please. One card, one more in clarity for this Aquarian collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign twin flame contract, April 2020 or timeless. Yeah, defensiveness, right? So it does feel like this may be a little timeline-ish. I never asked that these be timeline-ish. It's not a past, present, future, but it does kind of feel like there was this like joyous backdrop and then a bad choice was made and now everybody's defensive. So someone has to stand their ground, right? The other one needs to listen with their heart to try and resolve this, but do understand what you are doing this for is not to change them. It is to heal you. So whatever the defenses are on either side, it would make sense for a liberator to want to kind of clear the air, free things up so things aren't so tight and so tense. But the teacher as well might want to take this as a teaching moment for themselves. In other words, liberator, liberate yourself. Teacher, teach yourself. Leave the other one alone, right? Whatever this is. Because you do get one more card. One of the Healing Mantra deck cards from Matt Kahn. Actually, one of his videos is in the description box below explaining his take, redefining twin flame and soulmate contracts. I do one similar to it, my own take on it. For the readings that I do, clarifying twin flame, soulmates, and true lovers, because to me, true lovers is a different thing, I guess. I know. Nice deep breath. Because we're double dipping with the Ascended Masters of twin flame contracts. They let me do it. They said it was okay. Breathe. My Ascended Masters, please, the perfect healing mantra for this Aquarian collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign. Please, oh please, oh please. Just one card in clarity for this Divine Feminine Liberator and this Divine Masculine Teacher archetype. What is the perfect healing mantra for them in this twin flame contract for April 2020? Are you one or two? You are two. Please, one card in clarity. What is the perfect healing mantra? There we go. Thank you so much, my Ascended Masters. Integrating the ego. Everything is for me, not against me. Which is, I think, a good way to look at a twin flame contract or any relationship that is turbulent, troublesome, transformative, that they're happening for you, not to you, right? So everything is for me, not against me. The Course in Miracles would say it's happening to, not happening to you, it's happening for you, for your benefit. And I know it doesn't look that way, and I know it doesn't feel that way, but that might be part of what the Liberator is needing to liberate herself from. I'm just going to keep it with the divine feminine pronoun there, in terms of integrating the ego, and that's something that the teacher might have to teach themselves. I'm an autodidact. I teach myself pretty much fucking everything. I'll ask for help, but then I will take the information, go home, and just teach it to myself. So that one, integrating the ego, is not the easiest thing on planet Earth to do, but let me read you what's in the little bookie book. I think you'll get a little more insight out of this one that way. Integrating the ego. Everything is for me, not against me. When your ego is integrated, there are no problems to fix or questions to answer. There are just the aligned responses of the soul's reality, acknowledging life as fertile ground where greater expansion is revealed. In other words, as much as we want to sit and think and contemplate, it is actually in life itself that is the fertile ground for the expansion of the soul. As you integrate your ego, every moment can be seen to be conspiring for your highest evolution instead of plotting against you, right? So if you keep running into this person in some way, shape, or form, either side, you're like, oh God. It's like it's not happening to you, it's happening for you, right? For your highest evolution, instead of it being a plot against you. This mantra is ideal for overcoming victimhood. Really, either side could be playing that here. Being more grateful, like, thank you for this opportunity to heal. Thank you for this twin flame, tumultuous, triggery, transformative relationship. Well, it's going to happen in this relationship or the next, so let's do this. I'm thankful for the opportunity, right? And becoming more forgiving, because then you get, it's like, oh, they were supposed to totally teach me that. It was their pain driving the show, so now I know what my pain is. Do you get the twin part of that? It's so important to get that these relationships, as hard as they are and as torturous as they can be, near or far, close or distant, intimate or in the same room but billions of miles away, they do transform us, and they are for our own good. Let's pop up the picture, see what else comes, shall we? Magic lamp. We start with the Liberator archetype, the divine feminine in the shadow attribute of imposing your own tyranny over those you claim to liberate, ignoring legitimate constraints. And I would feel like it would be the latter more than the former, particularly with an Aquarian, if you are the Aquarian, just saying. The light attribute, freeing yourself and others from outmoded beliefs, releasing negative thought patterns, which I think that you need to do for yourself, considering you do have the goddess of psychic protection here with you, saying what you believe you create, no one can harm you. So if you really believe that they're trying to take you down, it's not that they're going to, it's just that your fear of that and the stress of it will take you down. So anything else that that even smacks of that, you will jump to that conclusion and it will shoot you in the foot. So rather, listen with your heart. You're listening to what is being said to you, but you need to listen with a loving heart. And remember, if you do have any kind of empathic skill, what you're feeling might not be psychic attack so much as you are empathing their pain, whether it be this teacher or not. We've been talking a lot about empathy in my 11 a.m. and 11 p.m. Chats on YouTube. Jumping over here to the divine masculine teacher archetype, we've got the shadow attribute, manipulating or abusing students, teaching negative skills and negative traits and destructive skills, which, we all learn them from someone growing up, even if it's things that wound our self-esteem process and all of that. But the light attribute then is the ability to communicate knowledge, experience, skill, or wisdom. And that's what these two really have in common, I feel, is the verbal aspect. That element of air could very easily be two air signs here, or, an Aquarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, and someone with some kind of heavy placement in an air sign. With the goddess of strength here, like, they are supposed to stand up for what they believe in. They will gain respect by holding their ground. So if you are the Aquarian teacher, divine masculine here, absolutely stand your ground. It's not about being right or being wrong. It's about having the right to believe and say what you want to, say what you want to say. That I think takes kindness and compassion to do in a healthy way. But if this divine feminine liberator is willing to listen with their heart, you should be able to stand up for what you believe in and gain respect, but hopefully gain your own. And yet, here we have this: do something for someone else. Give your attention to someone else. It doesn't mean you have to change your position on things, but you could say, you know, I really honor you, and that you want to, like, you know, help people and free people. Like, really call out the best in them. Do something for someone else, or maybe just avoid the subject while the world is in such a tumultuous place right now. And what would help either one of you do that, particularly listen with your heart or do something for someone else, considering that there is some joy here in this relationship? That yes, there are some bad choices that have been made perhaps on both sides, but that the defensiveness there, that each one of you is going to point it out and try and liberate or teach about the bad decisions that each of you have made respectfully, that sounds like a fucking nightmare. Because the mantra is, everything is for me, not against me, that it's up to me what I want to liberate myself from and what I want to teach myself. And can I teach myself that all of this is helping me to integrate the ego, which is going to happen eventually. So I'm either going to do it in this relationship, walk away from this relationship, repress these feelings, or play it out with somebody else. Either way, it's up to me to allow everything to be for me instead of against me. Well, I know the Matt Kahn deck is a very spiritual healing deck. And I get that as the last card down, it often puts that spiritual cherry on what can be an otherwise very toxic sundae. The ice cream confection, not the day, although sometimes both. So really, you kind of have your work cut out here. Very, thumbnail sketch, but something that you probably know who you are in this and who the other person is right now. So for this month, particularly if you are not sequestering together, watch your thoughts and your beliefs. What are you learning from this? What is this relationship teaching you on how to give yourself what you need to be the mate of your own soul? So may the Aquarian collective sun, moon, rising, Venus signs be blessed with all that they need this April 2020 in their twin flame contracts to learn, to heal, to liberate, to love, to stand their ground, to do something for someone else, and to listen with their heart as they integrate the ego for their well-being and for the well-being of all. So mote it be. And so it is. And thank you so much for watching, my Aquarians. Please do like, subscribe, comment in the description box below. The description box? The comment section below. There's a difference. And hit that notification bell as I give you the blessing, as I always do. Wishing you the very best and the very blessed of April 2020 and beyond, my aqualungs, my aquariums. Hail. Farewell and blessed, blessed be.